and welcome back to another YouTube video. Today we are going to be doing my October wrap-up video, which is super exciting because I feel like October was one of my better reading months and I found some really good books. I read a total of 7 books this month, and most on my TBR, but some were not on my TBR, which is okay, but I always love achieving the goal of reading my books off the TBR I create at the beginning of the month. So I'm super excited to share my thoughts and opinions on these books, so I hope you guys enjoy. Like I said, I read a total of 7 books. Majority of them were on my TBR. Some were not. The only book I did not get to this month from my TBR was Fall of Ruin and Wrath by Jennifer L. Armentrout. I just didn't feel the need to pick this up. Yeah, I do want to read it. Not saying I don't want to read it, but I just didn't want to get into like a fantasy type book. I don't know. It just wasn't piquing my interest this month, so I did not get to it this month. But I hope to get to it, you know, in the near future. So it's just going to go back on the shelf for me to choose for a different month. But did not get to this book. The first book I actually do not have because it was a library book, but I read The Beatrice Prophecy by Kate DiCamillo, and this book is a middle grade book. If you're new to my channel, hi, I am an elementary school teacher, therefore I have been reading middle grade books recently to kind of complete it's not really a challenge. There is a award called the Maud Hart Lovelace Award. I'm pretty sure it's a Minnesota-based award because she is from Minnesota, the person it's named after. But I'm not sure if it's a national type deal. And basically a bunch of middle grade books get nominated for this award, and they just say the winner early of 2025 or the following year. So the list came out. I was talking to another elementary school teacher, and she was talking about how she's reading them, and I thought it was a great idea for me as a teacher to read these newer middle grade books, because then I can accurately recommend books kind of newer that are gonna pique students' interest. So I've been reading middle grade books, and this is one of the nominees, and this book is one of my favorites out of all the middle grade books that I've read on the list. I guess I'm a little biased because I do love Kate DiCamillo's writing. I've read The Miraculous Journey of Edward Tulane to my first year students, and she's just an OG author. She wrote Because of Winn-Dixie. She's written so many, Tiger Rising, The Tales of Despereaux. She's a pretty well-known author or children's author. So I knew I was gonna like this book before even starting it. But it is a fun, fantasy type story, and it talks a lot about friendship and the meaning of friendship. In my case, in my opinion, I think girls having power, or having power in a sense, because in the book it talks a lot about how, oh, well, you're a girl, and it's yeah, I am, and I have these cool powers, so haha. So I think overall I really enjoyed this book. It was probably one of my favorite middle grade books that I've read so far this year. I think my favorite thing is the goat. Her name's Answelika. That just gave bonus points to this book. It also shows a story of friendship and developing a good friendship between people, and just the power of words that someone could have, and the power that women or girls or young girls can have as well. So I did rate this a 4-star. Again, a little biased because I love Kate DiCamillo, but I loved this book, and it was super quick to read, and I read it at the beginning of the month. So the next book that I read was Death Note Black Edition Volume 1, which includes Volumes 1 and 2 of the original series. And I absolutely love Death Note. If you do not know me, I am obsessed with Death Note. It's one of my favorite animes of all time. I just love it so much. And I've never read the manga before, so I picked up volume 1 and 2 of the black edition, because I think I like the black edition just a little bit more because of the black sprayed edges. It just looks nicer to me. I'm not saying I won't pick up the original covers, but I thoroughly enjoyed. I knew I would enjoy this because I loved the anime, so I wanted to compare, and it is exactly like I felt like I was watching the anime while reading this, which was really good. If you don't know what Death Note is, first of all, Death Note is about a high school student named Light Yagami. He finds this journal that's titled Death Note, and he finds out that any name he writes in there, that person dies. And so it's basically a story about power, what you can do with power when you're given it. And I just love this story so much, so I knew I would like the manga. I did rate this a 4.5. I just love it, and like the art style is great and everything about it is great. It's kind of dark in a sense, and I thought it would be perfect to read in October since it's Death Note. But yeah, I rated this a 4.5. I am reading the second volume of the black edition, which is volumes 3 and 4 of the original series, for the month of November. So I'm excited to continue on and read, and then hopefully get my hands on edition 3 and edition 4, or volume 3 and volume 4 of the black editions soon, so I can continue on reading. So there we go, Death Note volume 1, the black edition. All right, the next book that I listened to was We Kept Her in the Cellar by W.R. Gorman. This is a dark horror retelling of Cinderella, which I don't know what made me want to I think I got it through NetGalley as an advanced copy for the audiobook or something like that. And I was like, I want to listen to an audiobook, and I knew I had this available to me. And again, never really read horror in a sense, but this was kind of like my first experience with horror. A little bit about this book, We Kept Her in the Cellar. It's like a dark, twisted horror reimagining of Cinderella. You're in the point of view of one of the stepsisters, which is Eunice, and she is introduced to the family of Cinderella, and Cinderella is not your typical normal girl. She is a monster. Which to describe her monster look, she is kind of like a tentacle type monster, alien-esque type. I don't even know, like Cthulhu. I don't even know how to describe her as a monster, but she is kept in the cellar. Because of her powers and what she does to people. It's very gory. I remember I was listening to it while doing yard work, and I just kind of like sat there and was like, oh my god. Like what they were describing, what she did to some bodies. It was just very gruesome, which kind of describes this whole book, but it also is kind of silly in a sense of like thinking of Cinderella as a monster. I don't know, but this was like my first like horror-esque, I want to say, type book, and I did listen to it, so I did rate it only a 3-star, which is okay. Like if you're into like dark retellings, this would probably be perfect for you. I just thought like the plot was kind of not the best. But when it did get creepy and gory and like horror, I loved it because it just really painted a picture in my mind, which was not pretty. That's for sure. So that is We Kept Her in the Cellar by W.R. Gorman. The next one is Fallen by Lauren Kate. I read this maybe like, I want to say middle of October, and I'm pretty sure I read it throughout a video, and I kind of explained my thoughts in that video. But this is a definitely like dated book. Like it came out in the early 2010s, maybe even a little before that, like when Twilight was popping, and like these dark angsty teen books. This was a time period, right? And so this is about Lucy, or Lucinda. She is sent to a boarding school in Savannah, Georgia, and she meets this guy who's mysterious. His name is Daniel, and it gives very Twilight-esque vibes. I literally said this in the vlog that I was reading this in, was I didn't know it was Twilight-esque until someone said it, and then I was like, oh my gosh, it is like Twilight, where it's one girl and two guys fighting for her love. But I did like this twist in the sense of fallen angels and reincarnation. I liked that aspect. I haven't read a story like that, and I don't know if I'm a fan of reincarnation, like love as a trope. I want to read more books with that so I can see if I really like it, because I did enjoy it in this book, which is surprising as it's a YA, like dark fantasy type book. I don't know. But again, the writing, not the best. I mean, it's early 2010s, like, writing. It's, again, Twilight-esque, so kind of cringy at some points, or like I didn't like what Lucy was saying or her thoughts. It's just like, I don't want to be in this teenage girl's head anymore. But I did like the fallen angels and reincarnation aspect of the story, and the dark spookiness of it and the mystery of it that the author builds throughout the story. So I did give this a 3.5. Do I think it's still a 3.5? Maybe like a 3.25 if I'm really thinking about it. And I'm also probably gonna unhaul this because I don't see myself reading it again. So I think I might unhaul it and probably not continue the series, because there is a whole series. There's Torment, Passion, Rapture, and Fallen in Love. So I don't think I'm gonna finish the series. I think I'm just gonna unhaul it and leave it at that. And that's Fallen by Lauren Kate. Okay, next one was one of my like favorite reads this month because my jaw was on the floor. This is The Teacher by Freida McFadden. Let me tell you, when I finished this book, my jaw was on the floor, and I pulled Austin aside and was like, let me tell you this whole book because it's crazy. And he thought it was crazy as well, because he's not a big reader, but like I told him everything about it and he was like, no way. So this is a dual point of view of a teacher named, what is her name? Eve? Yeah, Eve. She is a high school math teacher, and the other point of view is in a student's point of view named Addie. And Addie is, again, a student. She is getting bullied severely because of a situation that happened the previous year with her and another teacher, which caused that teacher to get fired. So Freida McFadden, I haven't read a lot of her books. The only other book I've read by her is Never Lie. And her books are so fast paced, and it's just like you don't want to put it down. So if you like those types of books, I would recommend Freida McFadden out of the two that I've read, this and Never Lie, because again, they are like, I don't want to put it down. I want to keep reading. I want to know what happens type books. Yeah, like I said, my jaw was on the floor, and I just, if someone wants a spooky, not like spooky, but like just like good thriller book, I think this was a really good one. I will say there is an inappropriate relationship in this book, but besides that, I was like, the mystery part of it, loved. So I did rate this a 4 stars. I liked it. I want to read more Freida McFadden books. I think the next one I really want to read, I know the Housemaid, is that what it's called? It's getting turned into a movie or a show or something like that, so I might read that just so I'm updated on that whole, situation before the movie / show comes out. Oh, it's literally right here, The Housemaid. But we'll see what my next Freida McFadden book is, and I enjoyed reading this in the month of October. Just kind of added the spooky mystery vibes to the month. So all right, we're almost to the end, but I did read How to Win the Slime War by Maeve Respesio. This, I don't have it because I returned it from my work. This is another middle level book that is on that list of nominees. And this is about a boy who recently moves to a new school, and he gets into this business of selling slime. And there is a slime war, which means that him and his friends are competing against a girl and a couple of her friends of selling slime and who has the best slime type deal. All about slime. That's all I got from this book. Did I read it all in one sitting? Basically, because again, middle grade books are so easy to read where you could read them in a day and be done with them. Do I think this was a really heartfelt story? Sort of. I know the dad was really hard on him, and like because his dad pressured him to do things that he didn't want to do, like sports. He was like, no, I really enjoyed doing slime and being creative. I don't want to do this. So it shares a story of that, and I also really liked how they talked a little bit about Filipino culture because the main character was Filipino, like me. And so I want to read more books with that Filipino representation because I just enjoy, representation, my own culture and all that. So I gave this a 3.5. And it's not like one of my favorites, not really like heartfelt type story in my eyes. I think I got too caught up in the slime aspect of it, which, me being a 25-year-old woman, I don't really, like slime like a 10-year-old does. So, or in this case, I think they were like 11 or 12 because they were in middle school. So it's a cute book, super fast-paced, lots about slime. If you like slime, totally for you. But it's all right. So yeah, that is How to Win the Slime War by May Respesio. I think I'm saying that right. I hope. My last book that I read in the month of October, which was a book I was very, 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 very excited for, was Phantasma by Kaylee Smith. And oh my gosh, I absolutely loved this book. This is a dark romantasy type book. It just was perfect for the month of October. You follow Ophelia, who is a necromancer. Her mom passes away and her sister runs to this game called Phantasma, which a lot of people have described this book as a dark Caraval, which I have not read Caraval, but I did read Throne of the Fallen by Carrie Maniscalco, and I thought that kind of compared to this more of an adult type book, and I absolutely loved this. I cannot wait for the second book. I just loved the vibes, the aesthetics of this book, and the storyline of it was so good. I know it is a hyped book right now, and I saw a couple people not really liking it, but I really enjoyed it. I loved it. I liked the game aspect that these contestants like Ophelia had to go through, and it was high stakes. But I think at the end of it, there's this slight little twist where I was like, because I don't know, I'm really bad with twists. I always try to guess, but I never guess right. I can't, my brain goes to a different thought process than everyone else, because if some people probably could have called it way at the beginning. But I absolutely love this book. I'm so glad I read it. I can't wait for the next book by Kaylee Smith. I do like her writing. I started following her on Instagram. I love her aesthetic, all that. Anyways, loved this. I rated this a 4.5. If you like dark romantasy, you like Danny Phantom, because our main male character is very Danny Phantom if he was older age type man. So he's also a phantom. Loved. So this was probably my favorite book throughout the month of October. So Phantasma by Kaylee Smith. So those were all the books that I read in the month of October. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. If you did, make sure you give it a thumbs up, and also make sure you subscribe. I post videos once a week typically. I post book content, vlogs, travel, lifestyle, kind of whatever I feel like I'm in the mood for. So if that piques your interest, make sure you subscribe. Hope you found some recommendations maybe for the next month, or if you've read any of these books, let me know what were your thoughts about them. But that's about it. Thanks for watching. Bye!